The Garnet and Old show. No inside info, no contacts, no problem, no home base for 10 days. I'm Big Papa East. That's Vince Ciccarelli. I'm reporting live, not from the Captain Black's fishing studios in Georgia, but from Senior Padre Big Papa East, my father's house, as I'm house sitting. Um, Not my usual setup, not my usual chair, desks, monitors, or anything. So I'm making the best of it.
Yeah, it's the reason why we're a little bit late today. Wanted to make sure Big Papa East was ready to go for tonight. And if you are ready to go fishing, you can give our buddy Captain John Black a call. Captain Black's Fishing, Panama City Beach, Florida, the premier offshore fishing captain in the state of Florida, maybe in the region, but definitely in the state of Florida. If you're looking to get some fishing done in the Gulf of Mexico, Gulf of America, Gulf of Venezuela, whatever we're calling it these days, give him a call. He's a Nole and he will do you right. Also sponsored by the Palace Saloon, which is a tradition in Tallahassee. If you've not been there before, you should go. You should go there right now. No matter where you are, get in the car, drive to Tally, go to the Palace, and let them know Garnet and Old sent you there. They have been our tailgate game day sponsors for this season, and we're cooking up some new stuff for next season as well. We're more information to come on that. But you know, as bad as this season was, the tailgates were awesome, and that is due to the Palace Saloon. So thank you, Palace Saloon.
Now, Vince, last time we saw you, I don't feel like you had your facilities together.
The faculties, yes.
Yeah, for sure. Vince and I were on a cruise ship. Many fun times, many stories, many characters. A cruise ship is always full of many characters you meet. Maybe tell a few stories later, but it was a good time. We did about 95% of the Garden Old show live from the ship. Things started to get a little wonky at the end with my internet, and I kept refreshing and they kept kicking me off. But and now this week doing this. Now, Vince, I do want to ask you.
Mm,
I know it's a holiday, but
it is.
generally I'm not doing too much in the afternoon on Christmas Day.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we do a live Garnet Old show on Christmas Day.
I think I'm not opposed to the idea of that.
Vince says no.
As long as we have a plan and we stick to the plan.
7 o'clock.
Because
Garnet Old every Thursday night.
Hey, you know what? I think that's a possibility. We will. I think it's something that as a family, as a YouTube channel family, we can make it happen. But if we are going to do that, Ryan, I'd love for more than just a handful of people to show up for that.
I think you'd be surprised because I know myself, and on holiday weeks, the content flow that you're used to from all your favorite channels and show is very light. A lot of either we're not doing shows this week or a lot
pre-recorded
of
stuff,
pre-recorded stuff that's
archives,
a little weird, or maybe like, hey, let's do a favorite thing of the year or whatever. It's not the normal show. I say we just do a normal Garden Old show where at the only weird thing that happens is that maybe a little hot chocolate or a Santa hat or something like that.
Yeah, let's just say Garnet Old is going to happen at 7 p.m. on Christmas Day, and if something goes awry, we will let everybody know. What you could do to make sure everybody knows about tonight's show is grab the link and share it out in your social media, whether that be X, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok. What are some other ones that I'm not aware of? The Instagram.
I don't know, but all I can think
LinkedIn.
of is our fans of our show being like, Tiny Tim, sir, can I please have some more? And we're gonna give you a bigger scoop.
Yeah,
we're not gonna Scrooge the thing, and we're gonna provide the rabid fan base of the Garnet Old show, exactly what they asked for Christmas, which is more Garnet and Old.
Garnet, the ghosts of Garnet and Old present
Yes.
will be happening next Thursday, apparently. So, and I'll come up with some fancy backgrounds or something here to kind of, oh, you know what would be fun to do that night, Ryan? Maybe I take a little field trip, a little mobile device field trip, and give everybody a little taste of the light show that's happening in my yard.
Yes, and you can sponsor the show with your lights viewing app.
That's correct.
But
we have a goal for tonight, as we always do, folks. If you're looking to make sure your comments absolutely get read, put up on screen, super chat is how you do that. Or if you don't care about that at all, you just want to support the program, I promise you none of those dollars went to Ryan and I going on a cruise, right? That is all out of pocket. That is not what that was about.
That you know of.
The support for this show goes directly toward making sure we can do the show every week. So, super goal. There's a little $sign down in your chat window in YouTube. You can hit that, or you can Venmo us. Ryan, we had a handful of people Venmo us this year, which is really, really nice. And that is located in the bottom right of your screen. Venmo, Garnet, and Old.
Absolutely, and man, what a week for Florida State. Let's start with the Exodus.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of days,
but no one's left yet, Ryan, because that's illegal.
Yeah, they intend to. The main one. I'm going to focus on the main one. So the one that hurts the most, Randy Pittman. Not only because did Gus Malzahn bring him here, but he was extremely productive and a very hard worker. Now, it doesn't mean that they'll stay in the, intend to go to the portal, stay in the portal, go in the portal, leave is all different things. So it's one thing to announce that you intend. It could just, these days, it could be a leverage play where you're just trying to get an X amount of dollar account or see what the market says with the intentions of maybe Florida State could match said dollar amount. So, but we have Randy Pittman, we have Jason Jenkins, we have Jabril Rawls and Jane Jones. Those are kind of like the main ones. And then I'll kind of cover one funny one that's on the opposite side a little later today. But I think Randy Pittman was the one that I was most surprised about.
I would say Jabril Rawls is the one I'm most concerned about.
Concerned and surprised, two different things, though.
Yeah.
So what do you think about? Let's start with Pittman. What do you think?
So I was, I was not happy to see that name. He was productive. He was not just productive, like he seemed to be super bought in. And I have a friend of mine that knows him. And when we were at games this season, when we had the opportunity to go down in the sideline club, he was able to kind of chat with him briefly before a game. I think it was one of the games he was hurt. But I didn't ever get the feeling that he would be a name that would be showing up there. But again, like you said, it may be just testing the waters, right? And also, let's not kid ourselves. Like there is a lot of like unknown. There are a lot of unknowns going on right now with this staff. Like I am still shocked that certain names have not been, floated as being gone.
I don't think they're going to be.
And the longer this goes on, makes me think that that's not going to happen. But I think for these players, I mean, they have to know that this is not a stable, like what's happening right now does not. I don't think they're confident in the things that are happening right now.
Yeah, I mean, who would be? We'll talk about later about the staff itself after we get through this recruiting section. But in general, there's definitely doesn't seem to be a feeling of a cohesive plan whatsoever, or even kind of a sort of maybe plan. It's been kind of just like, Yeah, we got a cornerback coach. Yeah, well, no, we don't.
No, we
Um,
don't. Yeah.
and then we do again. So and then Jason Jenkins, I wasn't surprised about that. I mean, you would have liked to have another body on the defensive line. But I think to your point, like Rawls kind of hurts.
Yeah. I mean, he's the
He would,
biggest name, right?
yeah, the
He's the
biggest
biggest
talented name.
contributor. The biggest contributor thus far that has put their name in. And like you said, they may not stay in there. They may be testing the waters. Who knows? Because let's face it, it is a player's game these days. Like
Hmm.
they hold all the cards, so they should do what they have available to them to do to make their situation better, whatever that is. But all the other names, Ryan, I don't know how you feel about it because you and I haven't really talked about this. We haven't really talked about this. I am not like at all concerned. Like of all the names that have shown up in the portal, why would we be concerned about a 5-7 roster?
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why the only two names that have entered, intend to enter the portal that I've really been concerned about is Pittman and Rawls, because those are the guys that you say, oh, that guy or these guys uh, are not a 5-7 talent. They showed that they could hold their own and then some, and so you're hoping that we bring in more guys like that, and then we have maybe a few more on the team that are not kind of just average players. But with those guys potentially on the move, then you kind of get a little sad that some of your favorite pieces or your most exciting pieces are now those are gone. So hope is lost. But you know what? Not all transfers are to be fretted about. Today we found out that
Correct.
Luke Romaha is back in the portal
Correct.
from Mississippi State. So a lot of times, I remember when Luke announced, right, Florida, he was leaving Florida State. People were like, "What a waste!" He was such a big recruit. We were all so excited. Florida State just can't develop anyone or whatever. Well, apparently Mississippi State can't do it either with Luke. So who knows where he's going? I mean, I have no idea where he could possibly be intending to go, but it is pretty interesting when I saw that name come in. It just reminds you that yeah, sometimes the school's not even mad that a player's sitting in the portal.
Yeah, and it's not like that's just another example how we as a fan base take whatever the thing is that's on social media right now and fret about it.
Hmm.
I'm not fretting about transfer portal. I'm just not.
Hmm.
Why would I fret about, guys going in the portal of a 5-7 team last year? Why
Yeah.
would I have fretted about people going into the portal about a 2-10 team? I'm not fretting about that at all. I think you get the situation corrected. And by situation, I mean the staff, the front office and all that stuff. And you get that solved in a positive way, then people will want to come here again because
Right.
it's Florida State. It's Florida State. Um, people would have jumped in the portal in 2013
Yeah, people
if it
don't want
was
to hear that, but
available.
the reality is that every team is having players jump in the portal. Every single team in America.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I think that if this even if the situation was more stable this season, you would still see people testing the waters in the portal. It's not anything I'm worried about at all. I'm more worried about who's going to come in and if the people we have running this program have even an ounce of ability to develop those players.
Yeah, I kind of look at the transfer portal from a bad team. Like when you're a bad team and your players are getting in the portal, almost like what's that card game where like you put a card back and you draw the next card.
Yeah.
You know what you have is not what you need, right?
Yeah.
And you're like, I don't need this three. What I really need is another seven because I have two sevens already, so I want one more, or whatever it is. And so you put that card down because you know it's not worth keeping, and
Mm-hmm.
then you draw again. Now it might be a two, it might just be another three. For all you know, it could be the exact same card, and you're like, man, son of a gun, but there's a chance that it's not. There's a chance that it's an ace. And so
Well,
that's
there's
kind of what you hope for in these transfer portal situations, that as many players are going to enter, players are going to come in. We're going to see another surge of new talent. And what's so frustrating, I mean, I wouldn't be mad. You couldn't be at this point. But what's so frustrating about it, Vince, is that in the right circumstance, with random luck on your side, you could literally just waltz into a 10-win season next year if you just happen to fall into a 2023 transfer portal situation. Like you could, because it
yeah,
happened. We literally with our own eyes saw the stroke of luck and the players that we got during that time period, and it turned around everything on the team. And then when those players that luck run out, well, now here we are in the 2-10 and 5-7. So what's crazy about the portal is it's not impossible, it's unlikely, but it's not impossible that you strike gold on a few players and man, wow, look at us. But the frustrating thing about it is it's not fixing the core issue of high school recruiting. And so even if next year, let's say we, oh my God, hit a home run on 7 players, Vince, and
hmm
we go and we are one of the most dominant teams in college football next year by some miracle. The next year, you'd be worried that we're going to be a 4-win team the next year, like because the staff
yeah,
has proven that their only hope is hitting the lucky strike, right? So until the high school recruiting improves, you don't feel any more confident about the long term success about the program.
yeah. Well, definitely correct because currently the trend for the program under this head coach is subpar. If you look at things over time, I know we had a great, a one great season and one pretty good season out of 6. But if you are going to, look at this over time, it's been an abject failure, right?
Right.
As far as Florida State's concerned, as far as what this program and the support that this program gets from fan base, from financial, the recruiting resources that are available, the recruiting hotbed that this university resides in, it is an abject failure. So how can you, how can you? I'm more inclined to think that that is the norm now,
Hmm.
right? And until I'm shown otherwise with this staff, with this person calling the shots, I'm more inclined to think that we are, a middling to below average team in one of the, weakest conferences at the highest level of football.
Yeah.
That shouldn't happen. I should not feel that way. And that is a reason why, Ryan, I have not re-upped my booster yet. I'm still contemplating whether I'm going to do this. And that's not where this program wants to live. I know, Ryan, that I'm not the highest level booster. I'm
Hmm.
not giving millions of dollars every year, but I can tell you with my garnet heart, right, and my golden voice,
You're golden. You do have a golden voice, Vince.
I if I'm struggling figuring out if giving my money at this time is really what I want to do, I know it's not just me.
Right.
I know it's not just me. What happened to your camera?
Oh, did I lose it when I switched tabs?
There you go. You're
Interesting.
back now.
Yeah, I was pulling up the list for a later segment for the list of games. So maybe you pull it up on your end. At the end of the show, I do want to look at the playoff games this weekend, just kind of give our thoughts on the
Yeah,
games.
sure.
But let's start first with Florida State does try to attack the recruiting side of it a little bit, in my opinion, bringing in Nick Williams as a defensive coach. He's mostly known as a good recruiter across any team he's been with. The only thing I hate is that it's like literally it's a team a month. Like it's like he's been at 17 schools, and you're like, that's awesome. Um, but apparently, good recruiter. And then you combine that with today, we get the announcement that Austin Tucker is moving to the quarterbacks coach. It's an internal promotion if you've never heard of Austin Tucker. But um, we've had people connected to the program say that he was one of the good pieces of the recruiting staff, like internally. So you're hoping that those make a difference. But here's the thing, Vince. I have a hard time believing that because you literally, if you want, a lot of times, if we want to make a big difference on from one year to the next on anything, usually it's a new hire on head coach, offensive, or defense coordinator because those are your leaders. So bringing in a few assistant coaches here and there or promoting one, um, could it have an effect on the program? Of course. Like, I mean, if if a if a company brings in an assistant manager, that assistant manager can have an impact, I suppose, on the crew and the. But he's not changing the foundational aspects of the program. He doesn't have the power to. So when you're talking about foundational and or in Florida State's words, drastic changes, we have not, and I don't believe will see, uh, big changes. These have not been big changes. These have been the kind of changes that even when you're winning and having good seasons, that any program in the country might make. An analyst swap out or assistant
Sure.
coach goes somewhere else and you bring in someone. Like, these are
Position
things that could
coach.
happen
Yeah.
every single year at any college football program. So I don't consider these any different than normal business. Drastic changes to me are like the three big ones, right? And so when
Yeah.
that doesn't happen, and it does not appear it is, to me, it kind of rings a little hollow.
Well, just to be completely blunt about it, and um, I mean, those were lies.
Right.
That was a lie.
Yep.
Drastic changes aren't swapping out one defensive back coach for another. That's not drastic.
No.
Hiring a quarterback coach, an internal hire, who, as far as I know, according to his resume, has never coached quarterbacks. How is that a drastic change? That's not a drastic change.
That's the equivalent of like you brought someone in as an intern into your company and you're like, all right, we're gonna make some big changes around here, and then you're like promoted to a level one. Congrats. And you're like, oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
And I would say that I get it. I mean, Bobby said long ago, it's the Jimmies and Joes, right?
Yep.
That make it work. And it always has been. We can't get the Jimmies and Joes. So what is it that's, and the only way to make, I believe, this particular current staff as constructed to turn this around, they've got to get the Jimmies and Joes. They can't get them. They've shown and proven they can't get them. Drastic changes would be, like you said, the coordinators or the head coach. We were told that wasn't going to happen. Now we still haven't heard, I listened to some other shows, and like, you don't typically, announce someone is staying, right? You kind of assume someone is staying. But the problem with that is you've led the fan base to believe that that's not the case. So right. I think you have to come back to this and say they are locked in and we are locked in, from the head coach to the coordinators. Those guys are locked in and they are going to be here. I think it's a bad, and I've said this for weeks now, it's bad that the marketing and the announcements we've gotten have had nothing to do with, giving the fan base something that they can rely on.
Yeah.
It's been all a lot of speculation and hoping. Is this, Papuchis should be gone. Agreed?
He should have been gone last year or the year before, yeah.
All right. So why it hasn't happened yet?
He's a Norvell guy.
Yeah, I think his contract comes up in February or whatever. You know, eat the last month of that contract.
He's not going anywhere, Vince. Him and I think Norvell's one of those guys that he keeps his boys.
That's fine.
Yeah,
But, in the meantime, we're basically dragging one of the best fan bases, one of the most dedicated, passionate fan bases through the absolute puddle of sick. That's what you're
yeah.
doing. And
There's no
you,
hope next year.
it's going to be a lot of, it's going to take a lot to bring some people back. You say, well, if they start winning, I can't foresee this staff winning a lot because they need the
No,
Jimmies and Joes.
right.
And we've seen that they can't get the Jimmies and Joes.
Yeah, they can get
So
Jimmy Joe, but not
they,
Jimmy's and Joe's.
they can get James
Yeah,
and Joseph, but not the
yes.
Jimmies and Joes. Let's shout out some people in the chat.
You'll have an easier time doing that than me on my
Oh,
iPad.
that's true. This person, Old Dad 751, was here before we even started the show.
Old Dad's
So,
ready to go.
Old Dad, I'm with you. Thanks for joining the show tonight. We've got Captain John Black is here letting us know that Randy is actually from Panama City, and that is absolutely correct. I'm not gonna fault Randy for testing the waters. That's for sure. Tomcat says the athletic department is basically the Titanic, and the fans are screaming iceberg, and the captain is asleep at the wheel. Not Captain Black. Captain Black never falls asleep at the wheel. When he's on duty, he's doing what needs to be done. Tomcat also needs me to do some more drinking.
I think I'm taking a little break. I don't know about you, Vince.
I haven't had
Uh,
anything since the cruise.
yeah, I had my. In fact, I was actually disappointed for the first time ever in my life. Because for those of you who don't know, had to get off my cruise and then like drive straight 5 hour, like 4 hours over to Tampa for my holiday party for my company. And the first thing they do is someone comes, come on, all right, you have old fashioned. Yeah. And I
Yeah,
had
yeah,
three
yeah.
old fashions. And I can tell you that morning, the next morning, even though I didn't drink that much, I had 3 drinks. You just feel tired and kind of like, oh, that's okay. It's been a couple days in a row of drinks, and then even today, Vince, because after you go 4 or 5 days in a row of drinking, it takes like multiple days for your system to be like, no,
Oh
I'm
yeah.
clear. So I'm feeling I've been tired and what's fun is when you're uber tired and you get back and I'm trying to cram all next week's work into like 3 days,
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
so that's what we're about. But I do have a fun thing I want to do real quick, Vince.
mm-hmm.
I want to read in its entirety, take about 2 minutes, a full, maybe not full 2 minutes, a full quote without interruption. And then after the quote's done, I want you to go to town.
Roger
Are you
that.
are you game with that?
I'll do my best not to interrupt you.
All right. This quote said by Mr. Nick Saban today. Uh, would you allow the winner of a AAA baseball league, the International League? I don't even know the name of it. Would you let them in the World Series, the equivalent of what we do when we let JMU get in the college football playoff and Notre Dame doesn't? These guys in the group of five ought to have their own playoff. If it's about money, give them the money. If they get $4 million to play in the first round, just give them $4 million and put Notre Dame in. You want to see Notre Dame and Oregon play? Hell yes, you want to see that. You want to see the best players on the biggest stage. That's not what we're getting here. Vince, your take.
First of all, he's incorrect in his analogy, right? Because JMU is they are Division One.
Mm-hmm.
So his analogy of calling them a AAA is incorrect. They in his analogy they are a major league team.
Yeah, just a
Okay.
really bad one, but
Well,
comparatively, no. So
according to him, what he's trying to say is those teams don't deserve to be in the playoff. I'm sorry, the
actually,
pageant.
the best way you could the verbiage you could use in this, Vince, is saying like NFL, how there's multiple divisions and there's one really weak division, which i.e., pretend it's a conference, and
Mhm.
that there were not a lot of talented teams in that division this year, but someone from that division goes to
They
the World
do.
Series.
Yeah, that's the way it works, Nick Saban. So we don't need someone else gatekeeping the pageant. There's enough gatekeeping going on. Everyone agreed to the rules, and the rules allowed and stipulated with certain circumstances that G6 teams could be in the pageant. And that happened this year. As a matter of fact, it happened in a big way. I would love to see JMU win a game, right?
Yeah, for
Just
sure.
just
No, and
just to spite him.
well, what
And
I would say, Vince, is
what is he so upset about, though, Ryan? What is he
well,
so upset about?
what he's trying to get at is he's speaking to what he thinks will likely be the end result in a couple of years of where he would like the playoffs to go, which is a walled garden around the Power Two conferences, to have what he defines as the power leagues and the real team, the quote unquote real teams in college football, and it just being them, and put everyone else that's the less thans. But what I really think this is a response to is that for the first time, parity with NIL has created an environment in which the big bad wolves of the United States and college football are not allowed to just dominate and run roughshod over the rest of the sport with all the players. And now
Mhm.
I think it's ruffling the feathers of those who are allegiant to those institutions.
Yeah.
And it bothers them seeing a team like in Indiana, a team like James Madison compete. And I hate to tell Nick Saban, yeah, sure, James Madison, Indiana. Indiana beat Ohio State in the conference championship game, Nick.
Hmm.
But we've seen Boise State beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl. We've seen
Hmm.
all kinds of games in which a team in which we thought had absolutely no shot of competing on the same field pull an upset. So I here's what I don't get, Vince. Even as just a college football a sports fan, not even a college football fan, it's always fun in any sport. College basketball, perfect example. We all love the Cinderellas. Every week, it's the number one story in college basketball if there's a Cinderella in the Final Four. Like
Absolutely.
all
Unless
the
it's
other
your
teams are
team that gets
irrelevant.
beat by the Cinderella,
Yeah, all the other
right?
teams, like in the Sweet 16, are irrelevant if like some random team that no
Yeah.
one thought had a chance made it in, and that's the talk of the week. So it's good for college football and ratings and interest in the sport if random teams, not likely every year, but on some years, random team that had no chance any other year ever in their existence is all of a sudden in the top four of the playoffs. And you're saying, well,
That's why, if we could get some kind of karma, to start railing against what's happening to the sport that we love, we need JMU to win, right? We need them to win a game. And I don't know how that's going to happen, but we've seen, like you said, we've seen teams that people had counted out, come back and win a game that they weren't expected to win. We need that kind of thing to happen. And I'm not a G6 guy. Like I'm not like I don't root. Well, I root for Georgia Southern, right? But I'm not saying that because I think that they are on an equal playing field all the time. I'm saying that because what Nick Saban said is poison. It's poisonous to this sport that we love.
yeah,
And there's a lot of that poison being spewed, and it's mostly coming from the four-letter network that is bastardizing this whole thing. There's a lot of incestuous stuff going on there between them and the SEC shills, right? I mean, it's ridiculous. And of course, now you're going to put Nick Saban, with it as a mouthpiece. You talk about a guy that benefited greatly from NIL not being a thing,
yeah,
from the portal not being a thing. I'm not saying he's not the greatest coach that's ever lived. He probably is. But I'm not one of those guys that says he absolutely is. He's definitely top 5. But you don't think he benefited from all that? You don't think this, the bagmen that were under the, in the shadows, they absolutely benefited from all that. And oh, lo and behold, look who retires when he realizes that the playing field is not going to be so easy going forward. So, I don't have any use for that kind of statement. I don't have any use for that kind of gatekeeping because it's tearing some of the fabric, more of the fabric away from the sport that we love.
And for a fact, if James Madison were to win a game in the playoffs, and Saban will be like, oh, well, anyone can win a one-off. But if you look at the totality of like what Notre Dame had to do to get, through their schedule versus James Madison, it's not even fair that they're there. That's what he'll pivot to that argument. That will be the argument if they win
Yeah.
a game. But now, if they win, here's the thing. The interesting thing about the playoff. Let's say they do the unthinkable and they win the whole thing. A team like that, then you can't say anything because I do agree any team can win a fluky game, one game, a one off. It
Yep.
happens all the time. 2 games, not very likely. 3 games, and more than that, it's no,
And it's
that team's
legit.
actually good.
You can't say anything else except that team earned it, right?
Yeah.
So, I don't know if we'll ever see that. They probably will change the rules. They'll probably
Yep.
change all of that before one of those teams gets a chance, right? Because
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy.
If James Madison were to somehow win the national championship, the rule would change like next year. There would be a hurry to change who can get into the playoffs because no one in these big schools who have all the power, none of them like to be threatened. They like to remain on top. It's good to remain on top. The only thing we can hope, honestly, is that Miami is not the one. I don't care who wins the national championship as long as it's not Miami. I do want to talk the playoffs, Vince. So I am gonna. The good news is I'm at my dad's house with nothing really else to do except for watch animals and eat his food for free. So
Like a
tomorrow,
buffet, like a cruise ship.
yes. One thing I did think was weird. I thought they should have put like balance the weekend where like 2 games tomorrow, 2 games Saturday. I think it's interesting that 3 are on Saturday. I get it. It's Saturday college football, but tomorrow night, Alabama at Oklahoma. I, by the way, Vince, I think I told you this last year. This round of games is my favorite round of games because I love the idea of playing at someone else's stadium. In fact, I told you, Vince, aside from the national championship, I would love every game to be played at the higher seeded team stadium because I think it's good for college football. It makes it more entertaining. I think it's one of those things where it's like another little like nugget to throw in there of interest. Oh, how are they going to react in the stadium? But I do love if Florida State, God willing, someday ever makes it back to the playoffs, I would love a home playoff game in Tallahassee. Think how cool that would be. But number 9 Alabama travels to number 8 Oklahoma. Number 9 Alabama, who got housed last time we saw them by Georgia, not even close.
And got brutalized by us at the beginning of the season. Brutalized.
Yep. Playing Oklahoma, I'm going to take Oklahoma in that game. Easy.
Me too.
I think Oklahoma rolls in that game. I don't think it's even close. I think it's not quite as lopsided as the Georgia game, but I could see something like a 28-14, something like that.
I think Oklahoma wins that game, and when they do win that game, the first thing out of my Twitter account, my X account, is going to be Alabama didn't even deserve to be in the playoff.
Right. In fact, if you were to ask me honestly,
they didn't even deserve.
If you were to ask me honestly, I think the Notre Dame's biggest argument and frustration for not getting in, I think in the end, by the end of the year, they were better than Alabama. Just the eye test. The old eye test says no, they were better than Alabama.
Yeah. So I think the Sooners are going to win that game, and that's I don't root for other teams, but I do get some enjoyment when teams kind of get what's coming to them. Let's just say that.
And the Alabama fans will be none too happy with Mr. DeWar after what they would consider a very disappointing season and a false start in the playoffs. So, and
Mm-hmm.
then we get to the noon game Saturday, James Madison at Oregon. Now, even if it wasn't James Madison, even if it was another team, Oregon's a really tough place to play.
Yeah.
That would be a tough ask. Even Florida State, 2023, if we were playing at Oregon, a high ranked Oregon team, I'd be like, that's going to be a tough, a tough ask. But I all I want to see is it not be one of those games where it's the third quarter and Oregon's up by 30, and the announcers for the next quarter are saying, "See, this is the problem
This
I
is
have with
why.
it."
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
I think the best thing that, if not for a win, of course, but the best thing that James, us people can hope for is that James Madison like loses by 3 or something in a very good game, and proves that they deserve to be on the field. That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah.
But I do think Oregon wins, and if I were to guess, I would say they win by more than a touchdown.
Yeah. I would agree on that. But like I said, maybe the college football karma can come back around here and you know calm people down a little bit. James Madison, do something.
Hey, it's a noon game, but which in Oregon, isn't it going to be like 7 a.m. or something like that?
Oh,
I
I
don't
don't know.
understand.
I don't know.
I didn't know if you thought about that. It's noon and it's at Oregon, so that's a 4 hour time difference. It's going to be 8 a.m. game for Oregon fans. That's weird, right?
That is crazy, crazy, crazy.
Um, all right, Ohio State at 3:30 travels to my likely favorite to win the national championship, Texas A&M. Texas A&M is my pick to win the title in this playoff race. I
Whoa, whoa,
like their.
whoa. Miami, you're talking about, not Ohio State, right?
I think you're wrong. Am I wrong?
Is it Miami going to Kyle Field?
I thought it was Ohio State going to Texas A&M tomorrow at 3:30 or Saturday at 3:30. Fact check me.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Miami. You can see how tuned out I am with this whole deal.
Beautiful television.
Yeah, Miami going to Texas A&M and they play at noon.
It's funny thing. I used AI pop out, and I just said double check those games and said, actually, I need to correct a few details from my previous table. Here's what drives me crazy.
You used
Sidebar.
AI for this. I would say Oregon games at 7:30, brother.
Well, so originally I was bringing up a second tab, and you said my camera went out. So
Yeah.
instead, I brought up the sidebar AI tab and was like, I'll just use this to pull up the game list. Um, so that's fun. So I got the games are completely wrong. Number 9, Alabama, Oklahoma. That is correct. That was a correct game.
8 p.m. Yep.
Number 10, Miami at Texas A&M. I still pick Texas A&M. They are still my favorite to go the length. And Oregon apparently isn't even a thing at this round. I apologize. I hate you, Gemini. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
Um,
They're at 7:30.
Hold on, I'm gonna do this right here. I always am interested to see what it says. Why did you give
Why did you
me
screw up?
wrong info? I always like to shame the AI, and it
Yeah, do
always
it.
says, "I messed that up. I provided you with the schedule for the next year's matchup."
Yeah, it's like, whoa, how do you know that already?
I should screen
Yes,
capture that. If AI knows what the matchups next year are going to be.
it's pretty good.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
so
Hold
I'm
on,
gonna
real quick, Vince.
yeah, I'm gonna lean toward Texas A&M as well. I think Miami does have a good shot of winning that game. Don't get me wrong, but I think A&M is going to win, and that's at noon. At 3:30 is the Tulane Ole Miss game, and again, let's have some fun here, Karma, college football gods. Let's have some fun here. Let's get Tulane in this game and keep them in the game late in the game, and if not, win. I know people are saying it cannot happen, but we've seen before a
Oh
team
my!
play a great game.
I think I just got dissed by AI.
Yeah.
Vince, I asked it, how in the world would you know next year's games?
Mm-hmm.
Get this. At no point had I mentioned Florida State. You ready for this?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not, quote unquote, predicting or lying. I'm reporting the current reality of the season as it stands today. In this reality, the season where Florida State struggled and missed the playoffs, in quotation, uh, we are currently in this situation. Here's the games list. It said in its reality where Florida State missed the playoffs. And I was like, good Lord. I feel like it
Yeah.
just wanted to come at me a little bit.
Well, listen, did you hear that? Powers that be? Even the large language models don't have any confidence in what is going to be happening here in the next season.
But when pressed, it had to insult
Yeah.
my Florida State stuff. So let's get back to it. Tulane and Ole Miss. What a weird one.
Yeah.
Obviously, also the
I
worst
think Ole
mess
Miss.
in college football.
Yeah, I think Ole Miss is going to win that game.
I think Tulane will win because of dysfunction at Ole Miss. That's the only.
Well,
If
think
Lane had
about
not left,
this. If Tulane wins that game, it's like isn't that the that's the battle of coaches that aren't there anymore, right?
sure. But I think Lane Kiffin has more impact on his team when he leaves than. I mean, the Ole
John
Miss
Summerall.
team and the way he coaches and the way he calls like moments in games. Lane Kiffin's
Yeah.
hyper aggressive.
Oh, and I think he's coaching. And anyway, right? The new Florida coach, I think he's coaching that game.
Yeah, he's a dual coach, so that's not changing.
Right. So
You know
yeah,
how excited Florida fans would be if he won the national championship with Tulane.
and then if Ole Miss loses that game, the first thing you're going to see on my X account is, oh, maybe you should have taken that into account that a significant piece of that team was no longer available for that game and left them out. I'm petty like that, Ryan. You know that.
Exactly. And then the final game, JMU at Oregon, that's the game at the end. Still the same game, different time. I thought I should have known something was wrong
Yeah.
when Oregon was at 8 a.m.
Yeah.
And
James
Gemini would
Madison,
like to point a
Oregon.
final point on it. I understand why this feels like I'm making things up. Uh, I am reporting current reality. Today is Thursday, December 18th, and we are currently in the middle of the 2025-2026 postseason. I messed up earlier by giving you the 2024 schedule after you asked me to double check. I was trying to reconcile my confusion and mistakenly defaulted to last year's data.
I always have to, before I prompt, I always ask the AI, what season do you think we're in? Because it tries to give me old news all the time. So just a little tip there for those of you that are diving into the AI world. Always set your boundaries before the prompt. Otherwise, you're going to be very frustrated at what it gives you a lot of the time.
Do you remember our old thing where I bring up a random topic of discussion? I just want to see if you've seen something.
Mm-hmm.
Vince, did you watch the Disclosure trailer that came out from Steven Spielberg?
A Disclosure Day trailer? Yes, I did. I did watch it.
What do you think?
I'm looking forward to that movie.
Yes, it's going to be good. For those of you who don't know, go watch the trailer for Steven Spielberg's the Disclosure Day. Is that what it's called?
Yep, Disclosure Day.
Tinfoil hats, bring them with you. It's going to be great.
Speaking of, did you watch the Disclosure documentary on Prime Video?
Yeah. Yep.
I haven't watched it yet.
It's good. A lot of government officials were on that, which is interesting because then I feel like it's a double lie. Like the disclosure is now the deception because the government officials are talking about it. So now that it's not really aliens, now it's a cover up.
Yeah. Captain John Black, we have a really good team, but just do not seem to fit together. Peanut butter and mayonnaise. That sounds. We did not have that on the cruise ship.
No.
Friends Call Me Sean. Welcome, Friends Call Me Sean. Big change could be the new general manager, someone who has experience with caps and running an NFL scouting department to completely revamp how evaluation is done. Not sure who we could hire, but I'd at least like to talk to. I think he says, like to see them talk to Martin Mayhew at least for advice. Yeah. So here we are, a week before Christmas, less than 3 weeks before the portal opens, and Florida State still does not have a general manager.
Right. There's no plan.
For all of this talk about restructuring, and there, the graphic today was cohesive or chaotic. I don't think anybody looking at this from the outside could think anything other than chaos.
Yeah. And let me define that for you. Friends call me Sean. Florida State, if they had a plan and knew that they were going to keep Mike Norvell but restructure things, let's say 4 games left into the season, I'm just using that as a data point, they would have, in those 4 weeks during the season, identified, interviewed, and all but agreed on who that general manager would be. And maybe the week following the Florida game would have said, Florida State's pleased to announce we have hired so-and-so general manager. Instead, what you find out is they didn't start interviewing GM candidates until after the season, which means that they didn't have a plan and they thought Mike Norvell would win more than he did. And they didn't think they would need to do the general manager plan because they thought Mike Norvell would win more than he did. So they were caught off guard and surprised by Mike Norvell's dive into the abyss. And so comes out today that they've interviewed up to like 6 candidates. And the reports are from those candidates, Vince, and this is inside information from multiple sources familiar with the matter, as they always are, is that those candidates were extremely concerned about the timing in which they were being interviewed for this job. And they were confused as to why it was so late in the game where Florida State was trying to make this decision so close to the signing period. And many requested additional years on their contract in order to make up for this worrying sign that Florida State doesn't have their act together. So not only did they think Mike Norvell was going to turn it all around by the end of the year and make a bowl game and we'll all be seeing Kumbaya, but when they didn't, they didn't have a plan. They interviewed a bunch of guys. All the guys told them, this doesn't seem like you guys have a plan. And those guys answer as, well, I'm going to need a little bit more security for me and my family and take the risk. Your guys are going to have to up the price and give me some more years on this deal. So none of that indicates a plan.
Yeah, because here's the thing, is that if you're going to bring in somebody like that, they have to have an assurance that they are going to make it past when Norvell gets fired next season. Like, they need to have a multi-year deal that is regardless of who the head coach is.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's first and foremost. If they're not offering that, then this is really much worse than I even think it is. But other than that, you're right. When you start getting calls, like the whole college football world knows that Florida State should have made a change, and they didn't, right? The whole college football world knows that that the powers that be have not done a really great job in the public eye in managing the perception. So, if you're going on an interview for a job and you've not been in a vacuum, you've not been under a rock, like these things, I think you would come in with some trepidation about maybe this isn't a great move for me and my family.
Yeah.
So, you're having problems finding someone. No kidding. And it's really your own fault.
Yeah.
Unless, Ryan, everybody says they're playing 4D chess.
And
I will allow for a very minute percentage that these guys do have a buttoned up plan. I will allow for that because I can be wrong. I'm allowed to be wrong, and I have no problem being wrong. But man, it sure looks like, from anybody with a logical idea, logical way of thinking, some level of intelligence about the way the college football world works, that it sure looks like chaos reigns at this point.
Yeah.
And I don't think Martin Mayhew is a possibility, by the way. According to James Coleman, I saw a tweet from him. I don't think he's looking to get into the game.
Vince,
Anywhere, not
however,
just Florida State.
Vince Ciccarelli, however, is available for the gig.
I
You can
am.
reach out to him on at VC Noel if you'd like Big Papa East in the unlikely scenario in which you think handing over the keys to an operation as large as Florida State would be wise to hand over to Big Papa East and the emotional guy that I am. You can reach me at Big Papa East on X, and I will entertain the idea. However, I will
I
want an extra year.
Yes, I will want multiple years,
Hmm.
and I want to get, regardless of the head coach scenario, I want to have a 3-year deal, and the main thing I want to help out with is just, man, the publicity and marketing side of stuff. It has just been when you are silent, Ryan, something's going to fill that void.
Mm.
And the void, what has filled the void, Ryan, is a whole lot of anger and angst and people that are losing any amount of trust in what's
Yeah.
going on with the program. So that's
I do,
their own doing.
I do have one last question for you, Vince, and then we'll end with this. This is an
Well, we got to
interesting
talk about the
question.
cruise.
Yeah, sure. I'm talking about Florida State.
Yeah.
Interesting question. If I was the GM and you were interviewing me, you're Florida State, put yourself in the current administration shoes in their mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, okay, I am interested. I'm a very good candidate for this role. I like you guys, and I want to come here. However, I would like the ability to fire Mike Norvell now when I come in. What would your, based on the current administration, and what if I said this was a non-starter for me? Like, if I get this job, I would like a chance to make staff changes immediately.
My answer would be, who do you have in pocket right now? Right now, we're going to let go, and we're going to immediately announce who the new one is. That would be my first question, or my first.
Yeah. The only reason I ask.
So it wouldn't be a non-starter for me.
Yeah. But even if you're putting yourself in the shoes of the current athletic director, you have to assume there's 0% chance that a GM is going to want to make a change because he says, "What I would go into that room and say, I can't believe you did not fire Mike Norvell already." And it's not like, if you're going to let me come in, I want to rebuild this thing and I want to put it in my image right now, like new coaches, new coordinators. I want to clean house. Plenty of guys would ask for that. I mean, you have to assume, like, right? I mean, I would want to do it. So but the interesting thing about this is that would also be a way for the university to save face on their original comments of Mike Norvell coming back another year. Is like, hey, listen, that was the plan, and we hired a general manager, and we trust his judgment. He said he wanted to make the change. So what's interesting is I do think there's a 0% chance, low, but a 0% chance a GM comes in and then fires Mike Norvell before next year.
If he has that ability, yes.
Yeah, if he was given that ability. If he doesn't, my fear is that they told 6 candidates, and the reason they're having hesitation is because they told 6 candidates at least 1 year you have to give them. In which case, shame on Florida State.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully the statement was, this year is already done. We are not going to hold whatever happens this year against you.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Let's hire a pirate.
Let's hire a pirate. Pirates are usually guys and girls that don't have any problem taking what needs to be taken, Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, on the cruise ship, everyone, we met a very interesting character. We were sitting at the atrium bar. It was 11 a.m.
Oh, yes, it was early. It might have been before that.
I was ordering my first drink. I think I got a mimosa, breakfast time.
Mm-hmm.
And a guy sitting next to me probably in his 60s, a little disheveled looking,
Straggly
clear,
hair,
straggly hair, kind of stunk a little
Clemson
bit,
Tiger shirt. Clemson Tiger shirt.
anchor on his hat, and he turns to me and goes, "Hey, matey," and I said, "Oh, hi," and immediately I could smell the alcoholic, and
Oh yeah.
he had been drinking since the bar opened at 2 hours prior, and he said, "Now keep in mind we all have the drink package." He turned to me and he said, "Let me buy you a drink. Your money's no good here," as a joke. And I had
Yeah.
heard him
Yep.
tell that joke to no short of 5 other people before he talked to me. And he started talking to me, and I could tell he was absolutely obliterated, and he was making pirate references a lot. He was saying R and yeah, you matey,
Mm-hmm. Yep.
and I said, "Well, the number one thing I have to do now is tell Vince, and then bring Vince back, here, and then just casually sit down and be like, Vince needs a drink to the pirate." And in which case, Vince, the guy says, "I've been drinking already. Yeah, it's never too early." And Vince says to him, "Well, if you think about it, uh, today's just a continuation of yesterday."
Today's an extension of yesterday.
And the guy went like this with a drink in his hand for a good, what, 10 seconds?
10 seconds. I thought he glitched. I thought he was a robot at some point, right? Because he stood there and he wobbled. His eyes were wide. He wobbled back and forth. And then he did this. He went, his synapses were firing, Ryan.
And he said, "That is profound. That is profound. That is incredible." And he stands up, and normal people, when they want to shake someone's hand, they go like this. He kind of did like,
He came from up top.
yeah.
A swooping handshake gesture. He wanted to make sure I knew that he appreciated how enlightened I made him.
And as you shake his hand, he said, "Just what, like, where, how did you come up with something that is, I can't even, like, that changes, like," and he just kept stumbling over his words, just
It
completely.
changes the way I think.
And then he sits down and he turns to me and he says, "I got to go find some little girls."
I got to find a little girl, is what he said.
And then Vince and I got up and started walking away. And I said, "Vince, where's Chris Hansen when you need him from Dateline NBC?" And we never saw him again. He could
No.
be in the water for all we know. But that
Yeah.
was a highlight moment in my cruising life that I'll never forget. That a phrase as simple as "yesterday is just today is just a continuance or whatever of yesterday."
Mm-hmm.
That the guy, you cause someone to freeze, glitch, and then you might have changed his life.
I might have. He may have stopped drinking. Got his hair combed. Changed out of those clothes he'd been wearing for 4 days straight. Maybe he's on the straight and narrow now. You never know. All it takes is someone in your life, Ryan, to give you a nugget, right? To give you. He didn't need a drink. He needed a nugget of profound wisdom. And for him, that was it.
My favorite is that 10 seconds. You could see him going, "Okay, today is here. Yesterday. Oh, a line from yesterday.
Yes.
Oh."
Yes.
Later that night, he was in probably in one of the specialty dining restaurants in a suit and tie.
In a suit and tie, right? Doing some multi-million-dollar deals with his internet package. So you never know.
Or he was in the brig for getting a little girl.
We also happened upon a really great bartender in the aft of the ship.
Do you remember his name?
I do not. It began with an A, and there were a lot of consonants strung together. And I don't remember the name. But
The most
he was
ideal
awesome.
bartender for sure, because when you have a bartender on a busy ship, the last thing you want to do is have to do the thing where you just hope he makes eye contact with you again, and you do like the, you know,
Yeah, it was like, hey, I got my card here. I need a drink.
yeah. This guy, I would sit down. He would immediately yell my name.
He'd radar you.
He would say same thing or whatever a drink was, and then as he handed me every drink, he said, "Three more. You want another two? You want another three?" And then I would be halfway done with that drink, and he'd say two more,
Right.
and he kept him going. And let me tell you guys, if you ever worked in the service industry of any kind, and you do that consistently, which he did every day we went back there,
Mm-hmm.
um, it'll pay dividends if you do that enough times to enough people. Because at the end of the cruise, I think combined we tipped him like $100
Yeah.
at the end, and it
At the
wasn't like
end.
we tipped him at the beginning and then he started acting that way. He was that way the whole cruise, with likely most people never tipping him like really
Yeah.
anything,
Yeah.
because people feel like they already prepaid gratuities, even though cruise staff don't make a lot of money. So we tipped him that $100. He told us a little bit about his kind of like his story and ships that he's been on and all that kind of stuff. Really cool guy. And then he was straight professional. Give us both a handshake and said, "Hey, it was good getting to know you guys." And I wish him nothing but the best. On the flip side, terrible service. The bar before that, when I said, "Hello, sir, can I have a?" And there was maybe three people at the bar. I said, "Can I have a mojito?" And he went, "Yeah." And he walked away. And I turned to Vince. I went, "So nice."
Yeah. So nice. Ryan, speaking of being at the bar, you had close to a run-in with somebody that kept kind of bumping
Oh
into
yeah,
you.
yeah. When people are drunk, listen, I'm a big dude, and I own it. I self-deprecate humor myself to the ends of the earth. I always have. I honestly have never, and this is not a. This is 100% a shoot. I've never once in my adult life been offended by a fat kid joke or insinuation. I've had people walk up to me, say, "What's up, big guy?" Or, you know, "Oh, I'll give you a little extra on your plate." Like I've had that, and most of the time I just embrace it. It's like, yeah, yeah, sure, I love that a little extra. I'm not gonna lie, but this guy, I'm sitting at the bar talking to Vince, and the guy's in the stool next to me, and I have my back turned to him, and his belly kind of keeps rubbing up on me a little bit, and he says, "Sorry, I keep touching you. You're a big dude." I was like
Mm-hmm.
innocent enough, and then a few minutes later, he said,
You take up a
you're
lot
kind
of
of
space. Yeah,
you're
or something
in the
like that.
way. You're kind of in the way of me getting my drink. You take up a lot of space."
Yeah.
Now that triggered from fun and like big guy joke to, "What did you just say?" So when
Yeah.
he said that to me, like, "Hey, you're in the way. You take up a lot of space." I turned to him and I said, "That's what your wife said last night." And he stared at me for a good 3 seconds, and I think he was like, couldn't.
He wasn't expecting that.
I don't think he fully understood what I said, or maybe he didn't fully like grasp it. But he went, "All right," and then walked away.
Yeah.
Um, but I was very pleased with my reaction, because
Yeah.
the best thing you can do when someone makes a comment like that is go straight to your mother or your wife or whatever. It's an
That's right.
instant. It's an instant win, um,
It
and it
is.
worked.
It works. It works. Very, very happy with that turnaround. That turn of a phrase there, Ryan, did you very well. When we were on the island, Ryan, um, we were able to find the food before most people,
Yeah,
and
and that guy's
and
my
Ryan
guy.
and Ryan comes coming back with a plate. This guy that's larger than Ryan, much larger actually, taller and wider, looks to Ryan and goes, "Hey, big man, where'd you get that plate?"
And he
I
said, and
thought
I,
that was
I
awesome.
pointed, and he said, I figured you would know more than anyone. And listen, it's the old comment: fat guys can make fun of fat guys. It's a club.
Yeah, yeah.
It, and
It was
so that
very
guy, I would
very
never
good.
make the
No,
wife joke. I would go give him a kiss on the cheek
yeah.
and say, "I
Go
get
get
you."
him a plate.
Yeah,
Go get him a plate. But we had a great time on the cruise. Yes, if you watched the show on Friday night, I had had a lot to drink, and
go back and watch it, please, everyone.
go back and watch it. I had a ton on that first day.
Vince left me at
Um,
dinner. That's how much he ate.
well, I don't know. I ate dinner, but Ryan was going to stay for dessert and stuff, and I wasn't going to do that. I pretty much just like, okay, I'm going to bed now. And apparently the waiter was worried about me and my welfare.
Mhm. Yeah. Well, Vince, it was like, hey guys, here's your dessert menus, and I ordered my dessert, and they took the menus, and the guy walked away, and Vince went, I think I need to go. And I said, okay, that's fine. I don't care. I'm just eating. I'm gonna eat, and then I'm gonna probably go to bed here in a
Yeah,
little bit. And then you walk. The way you walked away was like, I'm being very careful to know where I'm going here.
absolutely. Because you know your peripheral vision is all cloudy, right? And so you have a singular focus to make sure you're not running into people or things.
You did well though, and you made it back. And then we kind of honestly we didn't really overdo it after that. We both drank more that day than because it's the first night on the cruise. That's usually what I do on any cruise. The first night's usually my hey, we're on a boat, excited. And then you kind of mellow out. You have to maintain because what you don't want to do, and I've only done it on one cruise ever, is go completely over the top one night on a cruise. And for the next 2 days after that, if you're on like a 7 day cruise, you're just absolutely headache, hungover, not feeling it. So you don't want to do that. You have to, it's the equivalent of a Cat 5 maintain. You
Yeah,
just got
you don't
to,
want to do it every day because then you're going to miss some of the. Well, the pirate doesn't subscribe to that, by the way.
no. But Vince was very proud of me. From day two on, for every 3 drinks I would have, I would guzzle 3 glasses of water.
Yeah,
In fact, I would
yeah,
have at some points the drink and then 2 cups of water right here. And I
yeah,
would go pound the 2 waters and then start drinking the alcohol. And Vince is like, man, look at you. You're just a you are now an adult.
yeah. This has been fun. Go back and watch the cruise show from last Friday if you have some time. It's funny. You can make fun of me. That's fine. I had a little too much, but it was fun. And we're also, Ryan, you announced at the beginning of this show, we're probably going to be doing a live show on Christmas Eve or Christmas night. Did we lose you, Ryan? I think we lost Ryan. But we are. We're going to be doing a show Christmas night, 7 p.m. Unless something goes haywire, we are planning to do that. So thank you to everybody that tuned in tonight. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, all of it. Thank you for being, part of our family here for this season. If you've been here for multiple years, good for you. We really appreciate that. We also appreciate Captain John Black and the Palace Saloon for supporting us week in and week out, year in and year out. And as a reminder, Garnet Old, no inside info, no contacts, no problem. Screw ESPN eternally and send Chiefs all the damn time. We'll see everybody next week. Go Noles.